What starts as a police bust and capture of some offenders quickly turns into something horrible. The men they go to capture suddenly blast at them from the building, unleashing gunfire and havoc. Many policemen are shot down, but thankfully, Santiago makes a clean shot, blowing out the building. With this, the police are able to gain entrance and arrest the remaining culprits inside. Captain Diego begins asking questions, and out of fear for his life, one of the culprits begins spilling secrets about a man named Larrea and his whereabouts. Unfortunately, this doesn't do the man any good because he still gets shot at the end, alongside the others. It seems the truth, or in this case, a lie, didn't set him free. They round up the remaining prisoners, ready to transport them in the van, but a lady makes a run for it. Santiago instantly follows in hot pursuit, ordering that some men chase her with the motorcycles. After a tense and hot chase, she manages to escape, while Santiago gets lost since he doesn't know the area. He tells Diego about losing the lady and proceeds to find his way back to the guys. Well, or so it seems. In actuality, Santiago sneaks into a house he clearly knows well and goes to meet the very lady who escaped. Apparently, they know each other, and the lady, whose name is Giovanna, was at the house to warn her brother. Since Santiago told her the bust would be at noon, she felt she had time since it was still morning. It isn't Santiago's fault since the time was changed, but Giovanna wants him to get her brother out of police custody. Santiago feels she should be lucky he's still alive. She confesses that she knows where Loria is. She's known for 3 months now, making Santiago wonder why she never told him since she is his informant. She confesses that she was given a promotion and now delivers vans of money to Lorea's house in the jungle. Apparently, his house is a safe. She also reveals something shocking, admitting that Loria pays Diego and the men who hired Santiago way too much money. They're all in on this and have just been watching Santiago chase his tail all along. She feels he can actually do something now he really knows the truth, leaving Santiago speechless. Afterwards, he pays a visit to retired Captain William Miller, who's rounding up a speech to new Army personnel. Happy to see each other afterwards, they embrace warmly. Santiago has already sent him a text beforehand, and they begin talking about it. William decides to take up the job if Santiago can contact Tom, another one of their buddies. Tom is now a realtor, though he doesn't seem to be too happy with his job.
All right, thank you.
Santiago tracks him down, leaving Tom surprised and happy to see him since it's been some years he last heard from him. Santiago tells him about the job and the 17 grand he stands to gain from it.
I got a job for you. Guaranteed 17 grand for a week of consulting.
It's a week of consulting and won't require action unless Tom wants it. Tom reminds him he's retired.
I'm retired.
I know.
But curiously asks about the job. The plan is to get Gabriel Martin Larrea. Though Santiago has been trying for years, he couldn't find him back then, but now he's finally found him. Tom is hesitant about this because he has a lot of things going on with his divorced wife Molly and their daughter Tess, but Santiago suggests he takes a look at the work details first. They drive together to pick Tess up from the house, and Tom begins talking about the money on their way out. Santiago reveals that the 17 grand is just for the recce, and it could be a whole lot more if they decide to move forward. He's cut a deal with the agency, and they get to keep 25% of anything they seize. With the estimate of over $75 million in cash with Loria, that would really be a lot for each of them. Tom wonders if it's illegal, but Santiago assures him it isn't. Besides, even if it were, they deserve the money for their service to their country and how the said country treated them poorly afterward. Tom finally agrees to take a look at the file. Afterwards, Santiago meets up with William at the gym, updating him about how things played out with Tom. It's game night at the gym, and they are there for Ben, another close friend. Francisco, Ben's brother, and the last of the group also comes in, and they all exchange warm hugs, happy to see each other. Santiago wastes no time in telling them about the job, but Frankie is hesitant. He has a baby, and his partner doesn't like him doing that type of job. Besides, he's lost his license, so he can't fly a plane. Santiago doesn't need a pilot with a license anyway, since he's working with the army in the location. He just needs someone he can trust. Santiago explains that they get to take down a very bad man and still get something huge out of it. Ben reminds them that it's his fight night, and they all head out to support him. Frankie confesses that he got busted for doing drugs and has been put under suspension since he's still on review. Frankie wonders if William is in for the job, and William reveals that he's only doing it if Tom would. Ben agrees to the job, making Santiago really happy just as he's called into the ring. Tom joins the rest of the guys and admits he's taken a look at the file.
5 guys and a pilot.
He finally agrees to the job if the rest of the guys are in, but insists he's only doing the recce. Santiago asks for Frankie's verdict, and he agrees too, making Santiago happy. A few days later, they arrive at Loria's backyard to scout the house. They all go to various positions while talking through the comms. Giovanna would be coming to make her routine money drop and would be prepared to record the house from the inside. From his view, Frankie notices some kids and asks Santiago about it because he isn't comfortable with that. Santiago assures them that the family isn't a problem. Loria is a very devout man, which is a strange thing since he's a very bad man at the same time. But who's judging, right? Every Sunday morning, he sends 3 guards to the 6 a.m. service, and when they get back, he sends the rest of the team alongside his family into town for Mass. That leaves him and 3 guards in the house, and that would be their window to attack. Giovanna arrives just then, while William notices an execution about to happen from his point of view. Loria comes and shoots down the men one by one without remorse, just like it's another regular day. Frankie is curious as to why Giovanna is taking such risks.
Why is she doing this?
And Santiago reveals that she wants him to get her brother out of jail. Ben notices some ground sensors and alerts the guys to it. Just then, William notices 2 guys on motorbikes heading towards Ben and warns him to stay put while he comes to cover him. Meanwhile, Giovanna presents the records to Loria and his bookkeeper, and one can feel the tension. After several tense moments, the bookkeeper approves, and Loria puts his stamp on it.
Okay.
Thankfully, the guys on the motorbikes don't notice anything and head back, which gives the team the clue to leave the property. Later, they all go for drinks at a bar, and William asks Santiago about the plan. Tom feels the Sunday window is the way to do it. If an army is brought in, a war can be started. William agrees and asks Santiago when he needs to present the plan to the agency. However, Santiago has had a change of mind and no longer wants to tell them. After seeing the house, he feels they should do the job themselves. Tom reminds him that they accepted to take 17 grand to help the narcotics unit map out and plan the hit. But Santiago is sure that they can take only Lorea down by themselves if they do it right. Knowing Santiago, Tom wonders if the agency even knows about the job, and William asks who was responsible for the payment of their fees. Santiago admits it's complicated, but Tom doesn't feel so since it's a whole $100,000. The guys nudge him to keep his voice down since it isn't safe to discuss such in the open, and they all head outside. Santiago admits that it's his money he paid them, making them all scoff in disbelief. William isn't happy he lied, but Santiago defends himself, explaining that he asked them to come down there, do reconnaissance, and make a plan. He gives them 2 options. They can execute the plan alone and take all the money, or they can leave and he brings in the agency. Though he's assured that the second option won't work since Loria would find out about it. Santiago isn't okay with the idea of leaving everything they've done behind for the last 17 years with nothing to show for it. He points out everyone's shortcomings and wonders if they can finally use their skills for their own benefit and actually change something. This leaves everyone in deep thought. In the car, William asks if they are in, but Tom points out how untrustworthy Giovanna is. Santiago feels they would find out the next day, since she was supposed to do the recordings. William asks Tom how he would do the hit if Giovanna turns out to be trusted, and he gives a detailed plan on how they can carry it out and escape successfully. The next day, Santiago meets up with Giovanna, and she codedly gives him the recording. However, he has one more thing for her to do. He needs her to bring in an extra van to the compound on Sunday morning. She agrees to this, and he helps her get out of the country with her brother, and even gives her $2 million. She agrees to it, and he assures her he will keep to the deal. Later, the guys meet up in a container where Santiago has stashed every weapon they would need. He shows them the video, and they confirm Lorea and the safe in the house, also telling them the extra van would be in the house. The plane for extraction is also set, meaning everything is ready for them. Tom asks for a minute to think and steps out, making Santiago follow him. He admits that he's missed the action and finally decides to do it. Inside, Tom gives the details of the job and the rules they need to stick by. On the day of the hit, the guys arrive at the yard again, taking their position. Once the family and guards leave the house, Giovanna arrives with a second van and successfully passes security. After she leaves in the second van, this cues the guys in to approach for attack. They manage to subdue the 3 guards but shoot one in the leg. They then proceed to look for Lorea, but it's like he's a ghost since he's nowhere to be found. They enter the office and realize that Lorea is gone, and with the money too. Frankie feels they need to leave, but Santiago notices the smell of paint.
It's like a serious fuck up.
What's that smell like to you?
This leaves Tom thinking, and he realizes what the house being a safe really means. Santiago begins punching the walls, and very soon, they all discover a huge stash of money hidden inside.
It goes all the way up. Let's go.
Happy and excited about their discovery, they begin packing the money into bags, though Santiago feels like Lorea is still in the house. The guys discover more stash at the back wall, and they proceed to pack those too. They have 8 minutes until they need to leave, and they begin putting the bags into the van. However, the money doesn't finish because they discover more walls with loads of money. The safe is literally the house. The van becomes full with bags of money, but Tom still continues digging through the walls for more. The guys feel they've gotten enough and need to leave,
missed a hard out.
but Tom insists they still have time. Ben insists they need to leave, but Santiago wants them to sweep the house once more for Lorea before they burn it down.
And then we burn it all down.
They all agree. While going through the house again, a man suddenly shoots at them. But they shoot back, ending the man's life. Santiago confirms it's Lorea, but William has already been hit.
I'm hit.
The guys help him with quick first aid, but Ben comes back from the van to tell them that the first shift of guards is back.
First shift of guards.
Making a quick plan, Santiago suggests they all take a bag of cash and escape through the jungle after setting the house on fire. But Tom refuses. He wants William to be taken back home safely and doesn't want to let go of the money in the van. He suggests they all take down the guards, and they agree. They take down the guards already in the house, but a second van of guards also passes through the gate. They are shot down, and the van is taken over. They split into both vans and drive the one containing the money behind the SUV. They see the family's van ahead, waiting for entry, but they pass slowly, successfully leaving the compound. They arrive at an intersection and find Giovanna and her brother waiting. William's plane guy also arrives in a light aircraft, making the guys wonder how they're all gonna fit in with the money. William gives the guy his share, and just then, the real helicopter comes while the guy leaves in his plane. Since all the money bags won't fit in the net, they drop some inside the helicopter. Frankie notes that the plan is overweight from the $250 million and suggests they drop some of it, but is refused. They decide to have strong faith instead, and they all leave, even with Giovanna and her brother. They arrive at the location to drop off Giovanna and her brother, and Tom begins asking her crucial questions so she doesn't trace back to them. Santiago comes along and gives her $3 million, instructing her on the procedures to follow through. She reveals that there's more than $75 million, and it isn't just Lorea's money, so a lot more people will come looking for him. Santiago assures her that he will take care of that, but warns her not to stay in South America because the gang will find her and take her out. Back in the plane, Tom feels like Giovanna is lying and hints that they would have taken her out, even though he doesn't say the exact words. Thankfully, the others don't agree to this. When they get to a point in the valley, the helicopter begins beeping from the weight and high altitude. Frankie realizes they won't make it because of the weight, and he tells them they need to take off the $50 million inside the plane with them. Santiago isn't pleased with the idea of leaving all that money in the middle of nowhere, but they have no choice if they want to make it. They definitely won't be alive for any of it if anything goes wrong. The money is thrown overboard, and Santiago goes back to Frankie to ask for the status. Just as if the plane has a mind of its own, the beeping continues as they climb higher and suddenly begins beeping erratically. Before anyone can say jack, the plane begins dropping down, releasing a huge amount of smoke. The guys are rattled at this point, and Frankie tries to take control so it doesn't start spinning. Unfortunately, he's losing altitude and feels they need to land. Tom feels they'll lose their lives if they crash land there, but Frankie is trying to get it back to level. Tom tells the others to prepare for a hard landing and says there's a farmer's field on the other side, which they passed on their way up. Frankie remembers this and tries to steer the plane in that direction. However, he realizes that he can't land the plane with the net under them, so they would need to lose the money so they don't lose their lives. He instructs them on how to release the net, but it doesn't work because the helicopter is already malfunctioning. Frankie tells them to use the manual override, and Ben decides to be the one to do that.
There should be a manual override on the cargo hook!
He successfully flicks it off with his leg, but almost loses his grip on the plane. William holds onto him, while Frankie manages to get the plane ready to crash land. Ben realizes he needs to jump or he won't make it, and does this successfully. Frankie finally crashes the plane, and it begins spinning on the ground before it eventually stops. Luckily, no one gets hurt, but they are just shaken and out of breath. Ben makes it to them, and they get out of the plane, but they notice that the natives are already into the money. Making a quick plan on how to retrieve it, Tom tells them what to do, saying they would communicate with hand signals since the comms are destroyed. Strapping their guns, he and Santiago head over to meet the natives to talk peacefully. They try explaining the situation to the farmers, revealing they are with the army. One of the men feels they should call a rescue helicopter, and they assure them it's coming. However, with the greed of man, the men tell them that they are also alone and have no uniforms. Santiago tries to talk peacefully, and Tom urges the men to tell their people to stop stealing their property. The men announce that it's on their land, and they begin growing restless, but Santiago tries to calm them down. From a distance, Frankie trains his gun at them, but is unable to communicate since the comms are destroyed. Just as things get heated and the farmers move to attack, Frankie takes a shot, making Santiago and Tom bring out their guns, shooting down a few men. Ben, Frankie, and William immediately rush over, and the guys order the remaining farmers to get back into the village. A farmer who is still alive begs Tom to send him to his maker, and Tom reluctantly pulls the trigger, feeling really bad about how things turned out. They arrive at the village and see the women crying bitterly. Tom tells the guys to saddle up the donkeys with the bags of money, while he heads over to talk to Santiago, who's speaking with the village chief. Santiago apologizes for the damage done and gives the man some money for the donkeys, the bereaved families, and himself. He asks if they're in agreement, and the man agrees. Just as they head out with the donkeys, the son of one of the eliminated farmers blocks their path, the pain evident in his eyes. Tom apologizes to him, and the chief tells the boy to let them pass since they've paid their debts. The boy does so, and they all walk on, their conscience hanging heavy in the air. At a point along the way, William asks if they paid for the damages, and Tom tells him they gave $200 for the animals and $1 million for the families. William asks which one of them opened fire first, but Tom lies that he doesn't know. William warns that they need to watch themselves. It seems like a crack is already forming between them. After some time it begins to rain, and they stop to rest. They still have approximately 2 days to get to the boat, and they can't make a fire since Lorea's men might be on their trail. The smoke would give them away, and they can't risk that. William says it feels like they're a dying breed, but Ben disagrees, saying they're warriors. Frankie admits he was too quick to pull the trigger, accepting that he eliminated the men.
Those people.
But Ben reminds him they all did. They continue their journey early the next morning, cutting through the forest and crossing streams until they arrive at the old smuggler's trail. Tension builds as they pass the steep mountains, making Frankie's donkey restless. As is common with panicked animals, it stumbles and falls from the cliff. The money bags strapped to it rip open, and the cash scatters to the birds of the air. At least Frankie didn't fall too. Ben laughs, but Santiago doesn't find it funny. Tom expresses concern over the donkey, but Santiago blames him for their situation. If only he hadn't been so greedy to take every wad of cash in the house, they wouldn't be in this mess. Tom jabs back at him for failing to catch Larea, but Santiago turns and keeps moving. Frankie urges Tom to let it go, and they continue onward. When they reach a narrow part in the rocks, they start pulling the bags with a rope, as the mules can't pass through. The rock face is 20 feet deep. While waiting, Santiago apologized to Tom for what he said earlier, and Tom admits he was also at fault. It is what it is, they just have to make it to the boats. Later that night, the cold becomes unbearable. Ben lights up a bill, and one by one, the others begin setting some of the money on fire. They can't carry it all anyway. What an irony of life. The next morning, just as they resume their journey, a surprise gunshot forces them to duck for cover. Ben is grazed by a bullet on his shoulder, and the gunfire continues. They quickly come up with a plan, and Santiago moves to a position. The others confirm and begin flanking. Tom successfully takes out one sniper from a distance, but he is tragically shot in the head by another. Santiago shoots the attacker, and Ben rushes to Tom. Sadly, he's already gone. Ben cries bitterly, devastated. Everyone is shaken, but William says quietly that they need to wrap him up and keep moving. Ben accuses him of being heartless, and William snaps back, blaming Ben for starting the fire that gave away their position. A heated fight breaks out, but Santiago and Frankie stop them.
Fuck you!
Santiago reveals it wasn't the fire that gave them away. The shooter was the farmer's son. He's been tracking them for days and wanted to kill Tom in particular, because he was responsible for his father's death. Santiago insists they must leave, and that they're taking all the money. He believes Tom's family deserves it, and so do they. Carrying Tom's body along with the bags of money is exhausting. Almost at the ocean now, Ben reveals they're 5 days late to meet the boatman, and there's no telling if he's still there. William checks with the binoculars but sees nothing. One of them has to go down to check, and Ben volunteers.
Sure.
Santiago tells him to look out for the Hijo Prodigo. While waiting, the others talk about the people they've eliminated over the years, the guilt weighing on them. Ben returns later with news. The boat is there. He gave the captain half the agreed amount, hoping he'll wait. Though he didn't go into town, it looks like whoever is in charge has a small army looking for them. 2 or 3 pros and about 20 heavily armed teenagers. The next town is over 100 miles to the south, and Lorea's men probably have the area locked down. Santiago suggests they go through them, but the others disagree. He argues that Tom died for this money. Ben corrects him, saying Tom died because of it. William speaks with Santiago, who regrets ever taking the job. He can't bring himself to harm kids, and William says what matters now is getting Tom home. Santiago proposes they fill their backpacks with as much money as they can carry and throw the rest off the cliff. The snow will soon bury it forever. They all agree. Later that night, they arrive at the ocean. Ben heads to the captain while the remaining 3 encounter a teen soldier. He's terrified, pointing a gun and telling them to stand down. Santiago tries to reason with him, but the boy radios for backup. The team seizes the radio and the truck. Before leaving, William gives the boy a wad of cash and tells him to get out of that life as soon as he can.
Let's move.
In the truck, Frankie says they should have eliminated the boy since he's seen their faces, but Santiago insists they're not taking any more lives. Suddenly, more soldiers come their way, and Santiago is forced to open fire. They finally reach the boat where Ben and the captain are waiting, and they all get on board, narrowly escaping. They arrive in a city and meet with a banker to split the money. They have over $5 million, and each man would get a little over $1 million. Tom's share is going to a trust, and the banker hands them papers to sign. Ben decides to forfeit his share to Tom's fund, and one by one, the others do the same. The money means nothing now that they've lost their brother. Outside, they embrace warmly and go their separate ways. Santiago says he's going to look for Giovanna and asks William to remind Molly and the girl who Tom really was. They hug one last time, and William gives him a folded piece of paper before parting ways.